It is 6 o'clock, so we're going to get going. Before we start, can we please stand and join me in prayer, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance too. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for an incredible night once again in Canyon Lake. Lord, please let us come together, Lord. Thank you that we're able to talk about golf carts tonight, Lord, and not about gang violence or crime or any of those other things. We do truly live in a little piece of paradise, Lord. So be with us. Let us have a good conversation as we continue to make Canyon Lake amazing. In your name, amen. Amen. President Bill Van Vliet, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
If you have a hat, please remove it. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, a little housekeeping. Just so everyone knows, we did try to get the lodge, and it was unfortunately not available. I know that President Bill Van Vliet tried as well, so we were trying to accommodate all the folks. We do have an overflow, which is upstairs, and that is also being streamed, so the folks upstairs can see what goes down in this meeting. If you do want to speak tonight and you're upstairs, you will need to come down. We have a live mic in front, and we will be doing questions and answers later on in the evening. So little background of what we're doing. We're going to start off with a presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're at, where we came from, what the plan and direction of what we're trying to do. And then we are going to, from there, go over some of the questions that most of the community members have had. We've actually taken the time to go through all the social media pages on Canyon Lake, and we've compiled all of the questions that have been asked on all the pages, and we have them here, so we will be going over most of them, and if that doesn't do it, then we will be having a Q&A portion towards the end as well. So everyone gets a chance to speak if they want, we hope. We did say that this was going to go from 6 to 8, but judging by the amount of people that we have this evening, we'll see if we can get it done. With that, we're going to start with a presentation and give a little background of why we are here tonight. So, ordinance review. Mr. City Manager, I'm going to have you kind of just work through the PowerPoint with me, and we can kind of tag team a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I'll give this one to you. You get to start us off.
All right, so we cannot start without some legal disclaimers from our city attorney, of course. This presentation is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. The content provided herein, you know it's an attorney when you see it herein, is based on current interpretations of relevant laws and ordinances as understood by the City of Canyon Lake. For specific legal advice, please consult with a qualified attorney or legal professional.
Now that that's out of the way, the only legal we have left is Captain Rail, so if you want to leave the room, Captain, we can conduct business. All right, moving on, the history. The City of Canyon Lake established the Railroad Canyon Road golf cart crossing by ordinance number 55, and this was done October 6th, 1995. So most of you know the city was established in 1990. After 5 years of becoming a city, it created this ordinance, which at the time is crucial to note that RSO, who is also our law enforcement provider, endorsed the existing ordinance that we have in front of us. Anything I'm missing there?
No, this has been going on for 30 years. One of the questions that I remember seeing is, why when the vehicle code maybe changed or our ordinance came out of date, why didn't we do something about it? And the reality is, if we don't know it's a problem, we're not going to focus on it. So it hasn't been an issue, and so therefore we were not focused on it. We've been on council since 2018, and only in 2023 did this become a problem.
Moving on, a little RSO grant. So there's been some conversations amongst the community about what did we do with the funds that we received from the state. We did nothing because we did not receive the funds. RSO is the one that applied and was able to receive the funds of $34,358. This did not come to the city, like I said before, and I know that was a question from some of the community members, as in, did we receive those dollars, and did we implement, the different operations that took place. City Council directed the focus to be at RRC, which is Railroad Canyon Road, as you know, and the intent was because we had a lot of residents come forward and say, hey, we need to do more about the accidents and the DUIs that are occurring on Railroad Canyon. And at the time, Captain Rails worked hard to ensure that we received these dollars so that we were able to conduct some of the issues that we've been dealing with. And as most of you know, you've been here a long time, we've had more accidents on Railroad Canyon Road than we've had in the last 10 years. So this is why the intent of that program was put in place.
And for the record, a lot of those crashes are not Canyon Lake residents, right? They're people who are coming from Menifee to Lake Elsinore and Lake Elsinore to Menifee and treating that road like a racetrack. And we have heard from you, hey, what are you doing about that? That's where the green striping came in. That's where the golf cart crossing flashing lights sign came in. And that was all an effort to make sure that we were kind of asking for enforcement priority on Railroad Canyon as it went from Menifee to Elsinore and Elsinore to Menifee. We wanted speed enforcement. We wanted that to be the priority, right? And so we asked, hey, when you get those dollars because you use Canyon Lake stats, can you do that? Because that's what our residents are telling us is what they want. And we all have kids, you all drive, you all commute, and the people who don't live here are not the people that we were worried about. Or the people who live here were not the people we're worried about. We're worried about the commuters who are not as careful as Canyon Lakers.
And, you know, just to further that point, you all know how busy that road is, just to give you some stats behind that. And Captain Rails, feel free to chime in if I'm wrong. But Monday through Thursday, those numbers are anywhere between 15 and 18,000 cars. On the weekends, we get between 25 up to 28,000 cars that go through. It's substantial. So you can see why it was a main focus for us to make sure that it is as safe as possible moving forward.
And one more point, we have in bold, after that crash that occurred in the community involving the pregnant lady after the 4th of July last year, we heard from the residents, you need to make sure that something is done. And again, that wasn't Canyon Lake residents involved in that. And so again, we asked for the money that RSO was able to get to kind of be directed towards enforcement on the topics that Canyon Lakers wanted.
Moving on, we're looking at December 2023. This is when the first DUI saturation patrol took place. Again, this was funded by the grant dollars that RSO received, not the city. They conducted their first driving under the influence, DUI saturation patrol. RSO confirmed at this point in time that golf carts could cross Railroad Canyon Road, but unregistered, non-street legal, low-speed vehicles could not. And this was the conversation that started back in December, so everyone's aware that when that was stated is when we started doing a deep dive on what we're dealing with today. Does that make sense? Did I miss anything on that?
No.
Councilwoman Castillo? No? All right, moving on. December, again, 2023, DUI Saturation Patrol, RSO confirmed that golf carts could cross Railroad Canyon. Originally, RSO's education handout stated, and a lot of you probably remember seeing this handout, whether it was on social media or passed out, that golf carts are not street legal except if you operate your golf cart on a highway designated for such use by ordinance or resolution within 1 mile of a golf course, which, as most of you know, we have that here in Canyon Lake.
And that was important for us to have an understanding about that because that's additionally what we thought, right? And in December of 2023, our lieutenant did confirm by email that outside of the Canyon Lake gated community, a golf cart can cross Railroad Canyon during daylight hours with pedestrian traffic, and NEV or neighborhood electric vehicle also can cross per the ordinance because it's treated like a golf cart. So we're operating under all the same things that we've been operating under for the last 30 years. And so as this information is coming to us, we're trying to kind of, you know, complement the vehicle code, but also make sure that we're still in line with what we believe our lawful ordinance is, you know, enabling us to do.
And
Can I correct one thing on that?
yes, please.
Not NEVs, just LSVs were under that.
Okay,
So golf carts and LSVs.
I'm
And
just
golf
reading
carts
from
and
the
golf carts
lieutenant's
are-
email.
Golf carts are two-seaters. Anything above 2 seat is not considered a golf cart in the vehicle code. So that's where a lot of this came into to an issue, is why we were stopping some of the golf carts.
Yeah, the question and answer will be in the later portion. I assure you, everybody will have time for the questions.
And I apologize, I was not trying to interrupt you. I was just quoting the email from the lieutenant.
And again, just for the record, Captain Rails We've had several meetings on this, and Captain, you'll admit, this is a very complex situation. And you're not a traffic expert, and you've done a great job trying to navigate through this. What Councilwoman Casey Castillo was reading was an email between Lieutenant, not Captain, and our former city manager, and this is why we wanted to do this. We wanted to be transparent with everyone so you can see the complexity of what's going on. A lot of back and forth, because RSO is learning about this just as much as we are, because they don't have another municipality, city in the county of Riverside who's dealing with what we're dealing with. Does that make sense? Right, Captain? Okay. Here's the conversation. Golf carts versus low-speed vehicles. Golf carts and low-speed vehicles, neighborhood electric vehicles, have different definitions under the California Vehicle Code based on a number of passengers, weights, and top speed. Golf carts versus low-speed vehicles, a distinction without a difference. CVC 21115 and 21115.1 explicitly states that for the purpose of crossing established by a city low-speed vehicle shall be considered a golf cart. The definition of a low-speed vehicle acknowledges that a low-speed vehicle is considered a golf cart when operating pursuant to section 2115 or 2115.1. A low-speed vehicle is not a golf cart except when operating pursuant to this section. Anything I'm missing there, Councilwoman Castillo?
No, I think, and I know that our city manager is going to chime in on some of the vehicle code sections as well.
You want to do that now?
Sure, I could jump in there. One thing to note is we actually copied the entire California Vehicle Code for 21115 and 2115.1. We're not going to torture you and read every bit of that to you, but this PowerPoint will be available for download, hopefully tonight, maybe tomorrow, if you go to our website. It is all there. We really wanted to prevent anybody from having to go out and research every aspect of what we're doing. We're taking it directly from the code. So when we get to those slides, you will see a whole lot of text we're going to skip over. That is for the benefit of any individuals that want to look at that.
Bear with me as I read this, because it's important to know where we as your council, but more importantly your city, asserts that regardless of whether a particular vehicle meets the statutory definition of a golf cart or low-speed vehicle, it is able to cross at Railroad Canyon Road under the city's ordinance, and that's the ordinance that we have currently in place, and may do so without the need to conform to any requirements of this California Vehicle Code with respect to the registration, licensing, or equipment. So it is very clear that, for us, we've been pushing out the rhetoric that we're under the impression that we're good to go. And that's how it's been since '95. So this is why it's a very complex issue. The California Code, as the interim city manager mentioned, we'll have this available for everyone so you can read through it. I don't know if I have enough wind in my lungs to go through all that, especially now that looking at the print is like a .10. There's some more California code, so we'll have all this for everyone so they can read. All right, let's talk about June and July. Once again, our second DUI saturation patrol in June and July 2024, the RSO conducted another driving under the influence DUI, which happened, I believe it was, 2 Fridays ago or 3 Fridays ago? This saturation patrol on Railroad Canyon. RSO now states that golf carts cannot cross Railroad Canyon Road either. Several citations were issued, I believe 8, in regards to just operating a golf cart across Railroad. Now, Captain Rails, you can chime in. I know that the Lake Elsinore station, they did the Lake Elsinore station, they put out several different flyers indicating that this was going to be happening, to be prepared. I know that you guys put a lot of information out, educating the community to be aware of this.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Couple weeks before, and then obviously at city council meetings, mostly on social media. There was not a mailer that went out, no.
In most of those social media posts and education to the council, that's when the change really occurred, when we then started seeing the flyers say, as you can see down below, it says, not allowed to cross Railroad Canyon. And that was the difference. Before it was an educational, before it was, seen as you're going to be warned, but this was new information, which is why we saw the thing evolving differently than what we were being told or being led to. And that's because RSO as well was, finding out and talking to county council. Yes. And communicating with them to get direction on where to go with our existing ordinance, and also your interpretation of the traffic law as well.
Yes. We also reached out to California Highway Patrol and the DA's office.
So if I can chime in here, just so everyone knows where we've tried to kind of communicate to the community about this. In December, we did a video explaining the issue with RSO's education campaign. In March, we did a post talking about the issue still being worked out. Golf cart crossing is allowed during daytime hours. That's the information we had, encouraging people to attend the next council meeting. Again, in March, we did a website article on this topic. And then in July, another post, another video, and then comments. In terms of council presentations, on March 13th, we had an entire city council discussion, like a business item discussion, reviewing and discussing a draft golf cart traffic safety study and engineering. Then RSO also came and did an entire presentation. Lieutenant Rails came on December 13th of 2023, gave a 17-slide presentation regarding this RSO grant and the golf cart definitions, what an LSV or NEV is, and went through the entire Canyon Lake ordinance. So we have endeavored to try and educate the public. I know we have heard comments like, where's the mailer on this? To be honest, we know the cost of mail. Mail just went up also 73 cents. So if we send out something, it's going to be outdated by the time you get it, because this is fluid and it's continuing to develop. I think all of you have been here and you've learned about this via social media. That's not the end-all be-all, I understand that. If the Friday Flyer was still around, we would have absolutely run something in the Friday Flyer. But we are doing the best we can to continue to educate the community by doing these videos and doing these posts and making this available on city council agendas and posting those agendas and having these meetings, which are shared on YouTube. So to the extent that it is not perfect, we acknowledge that. We want everyone to have the information, but the information is literally changing weekly.
It is changing weekly, and it's frustrating, and I want to say that, as you can see from the last point, it is the city's position that these may not hold water in court based upon traffic section, what is it? It's going to be CV 21266, which says any such prohibition shall become effective when appropriate signs given notice thereof are exceeded upon the roadway. We do not have signs in the city of Canyon Lake stating that you cannot cross Railroad Canyon. In fact, we have the exact opposite. We have signs in Canyon Lake that was the first thing that you and I did when we got on council, to show folks that transport through our community that this is a golf cart community and to watch out, there's a flipping golf cart crossing on Railroad Canyon. So it's our position, and I believe our interim city manager is willing to do something.
Absolutely. What I told the subcommittee is, for those of you that do have the citations and you're certainly concerned about that, if you go to traffic court, as long as the court allows it, I would be happy to accompany you and just let the judge know at that time that as the interim city manager, I can affirm that there is no sign. In fact, there is a sign saying it is permitted, and that while we're going through this process between the county with RSO, county council, and us, that we do not want anybody to be caught in the middle of that. So just my email address is abrown@canyonlakeca.gov, or feel free to come by. Let me know what the schedule is. We'll get it on the calendar. Again, happy to accompany you to make sure the judge knows where the city stance is on that.
Our city attorney is also drafting a legal letter identifying exactly where our code stands, and it's very helpful that our interim CM is willing to do that. Am I missing anything on that, Councilwoman Castillo?
No.
All right, moving on. Let's look at what has council been doing and RSO's response so far. Councilwoman Casey Castillo, I'm going to let you take this one.
Okay, so after the first saturation, we reached out to the sheriff's department and, had a discussion. How is this going to go forward? What do we need to know? Because at that time we were told warnings would be issued and it was an education campaign. So we continued to communicate with the sheriff's department through our lieutenant, through our captain. We then looked at our current ordinance and said, what's the deal with this? What do we need to do to fix this, right? Because how easy would that be? Pass an ordinance at city council. So we looked at our original 1995 ordinance, the one that was originally endorsed by the sheriff's department, and began those discussions to see if there were any tweaks that we could make. We made a suggestion. The thing about an ordinance is it has to be approved by local law enforcement. And so when we made suggestions for those tweaks, we were blocked. So then we said, okay, we will draft a new ordinance and put that forward. And again, wouldn't be approved. So at this point, we have had multiple meetings, myself, Councilmember Smith, we've met with the lieutenant, we've had good meetings with the captain, county council and our city attorney go back and forth all the time. You've talked to the sheriff himself. And right now we are awaiting feedback on a second draft version, not the original 1995 version, but the second version to the subsequent version. We also have a permit process that we're looking into and a transportation plan.
And my apologies, that should be golf cart transportation plan.
Yep.
Does someone want to talk about that?
No, he's just correcting the slide.
Okay.
All right, next steps. What are we doing? We're ensuring Railroad Canyon Road crossing remains safe. Adoption of a golf cart transportation plan. Review of golf cart crossing signage and safety measures. Pursuing a safety corridor designed by Railroad Canyon Road. Launching a vehicle permit VMO process with the city. Mine's old. Education of liability. And then we're going to continue to engage with Riverside Sheriff's Office. Request citations issued be dismissed due to conflict with the city ordinance. And again, as you heard from our interim city manager, Aaron Brown, that he is willing to partake in those traffic court orders as well. Continue to confer with county council on city interpretation of the ordinance, which is currently being done right now. Emails are going back and forth between our city attorney and legal counsel at the county. Continue and trying to work together on making Railroad Canyon Road safe as possible while maintaining the residents' way of life. It's very simple in this regards from a legal standpoint, and I know Councilwoman Casey Castillo is the attorney, so I'll say it so she doesn't have to. It really comes down to the liability of what this looks like, and that's the real concern of both RSO, would you agree? And obviously the city, and more importantly, the county. And so this is the conversation that's taking place. Now, for the record, we, thank the Lord, and I'll knock on wood for this because we have a real wood table, we've never had an issue over Railroad Canyon. We've been doing this now for 30 years, and we've never had an issue. And I honestly think...
On Canyon Lake South?
Yes, on Canyon Lake Drive South, going into the gates, crossing Railroad Canyon, right? We've obviously had issues inside the gates, but when it comes to crossing that road, we haven't had any. And I think that speaks volumes to this community, and it speaks volumes to at least probably the serious nature of what we think through our minds when we cross that road. So that's what this council believes too, is that in good partnership with our community, we've done, in my mind, a good solid job of being as safe as possible going through that. So that's the next step slide. That's what we're currently working on. As it stands right now, we've now presented with legal counsel to the county on what that plan would look like. And again, there's several cities, and I know that Mr. Brown can talk about it, that have current golf cart ordinances in place that allow for this type of transportation when it comes to crossing roads. And we have case study out there this is currently being implemented throughout the county. So we're not making this up. This stuff, just because Canyon Lake is so unique, just because we have a gate around most of our city, the stuff that we're actually working on is happening throughout Riverside County as well. Wouldn't you say?
I can do nothing but agree with that. Everything you said is accurate. So.
Okay. Am I missing anything else?
Why don't we go over some of the questions that we've gotten from the community?
All right. Q&A time, and this is going to be fun because most of you will be like, hey, I wrote that one. So bear with me, and I'll try to keep the language out of it. You got my 6-year-old listening to this, and my 4-year-old and my 7-month-old. All right, here we go. Let's go into a little bit. Question number 1, and again, this is what we've done. I think it was a total of 55 questions, so a lot of copy and paste, so we condensed it down to right around 15 to 18. So this is going to make sense for most of you because this is going to trigger what you read on social media. And Captain Rails, I got a couple questions, but it's nothing that I don't think you can't handle, just some simple things on what would happen. Okay, so looking at, can any non-street legal golf cart with more than 2 seats cross Railroad Canyon Road at Canyon Lake Drive South into and out of the Canyon Lake Center?
I think, Aaron, you can answer that, and Captain Rails too.
The problem we have is a lot of the golf carts or carts that are crossing are modified golf carts. And anytime a golf cart is modified, even a two-seater, if it's modified to go faster, it has to be a street legal vehicle with license plates and everything. So that's a lot of the carts that we're dealing with. Two-seater golf carts, if they're just normal stock, you're good. And honestly, if you've got golf clubs in the back, you're crossing, we're not worried about that. As you can see, and you've looked, we've only been out there one day and written any citations, and that was during a saturation event.
Right.
That wasn't during any other time. We have one deputy out here all day. He's not out enforcing. He's watching to make sure nothing as far as kids not being in car seats, that type of thing. But until it's solved, we're not out there every day writing citations. The problem is when we do these DUI saturations, I bring in traffic deputies from all over to help out with the saturation. This is deemed illegal by us so far. So if they see anything illegal, even just crossing, they're pulling you over, and they're going to check to see if you're DUI, to see if there's any other issues, see if you're licensed, that type of thing. And at that's what happened here. So like Jeremy said, there's two different things. We've got the golf cart issue, and then we've got the issue with the saturations. I'm obligated.
If I can jump in just
Yep,
for a
go
second,
ahead.
because I do know if I remember right, two of the citations were for individuals that were in golf carts, met all the legal requirements, but that just shows you where that level of confusion is. That there are two deputies that wrote tickets to individuals who met that requirement. It was in a golf cart, only 2 seats, all the legal requirements. Now, that's an easy item to handle. You go to traffic court, nope, absolutely. Show them this video of us talking right now. Whatever you want to do, you'll be able to show that. But this is the level of confusion that exists, frankly, even in RSO, that, as the captain said, you can do that if it is a golf cart, meeting the definition of golf cart. And 2 of the 6 or 7 citations were actually golf carts.
And part of the problem with that is even under the current municipal code, you still have to cross by pushing the
Correct.
button, and you have to cross with pedestrians, even though coming into the town center, there's no crosswalk there, so I don't know how that happens, but, so it is confusing.
So, and
It's crosswalk on the other side.
Okay.
and we're gonna get to the, go ahead.
Okay, so the next question is, why is RSO enforcing this issue now when Canyon Lakers have been crossing Railroad Canyon for more than 30 years?
Okay, I have been working with this community for 4 years, okay? I've seen some safety issues and that type of thing, and when I was asked to address the issues with the DUI and the unsafety golf carts coming across from the town center into the community and crashing, we reached out and got the grant, okay? At that time, I passed it off to my traffic division to look into it. Hey, what else can we do here? And they came back and said, hey, this, and this, it's illegal to even cross, period. So that's when we started looking at it. Prior to that, I'm not a traffic guy. If it's gang-related, if it's dope-related, something like that, I'm good.
Yeah.
I have never worked traffic pretty much in my career. So I'm not a traffic expert. If you had a captain that was probably a traffic expert prior to, he might have brought this up. But honestly, it was not a big issue until we found out that the ordinance was null and void, from our opinion, because there's 22651.1 came into effect in 2000 with different regulations, and there's even a new code in 2023 under the Cal Streets and Highways Code that says exactly what you have to have as far as safety equipment. So this should have been updated as we went. Could be partially our fault, could be partially city's fault. But like Casey said, we didn't know it was an issue until it was. So that's where we're at with it.
Why does the flyer show a 2-cent golf course and says
Okay.
you cannot go across?
We will totally get to that when we have a Q&A. I hope that your question is on here. So the next question is, what are the current consequences for crossing Railroad Canyon if it's considered not a appropriate version of a cart?
Citation is all it will be. I mean, if we wanted to, we could say they're not licensed, they're not registered. We can tow them for $4,000 of the vehicle code, and then you're gonna have to go to the tow yard and get it out. I expressly told the deputies that won't happen. We're not towing golf carts,
Yeah.
not till this is all taken care of. So that could have happened, we did not do that.
One of the next questions was, will residents who cross be cited by city's code enforcement officers or POA security?
I can speak on that one. Absolutely not on the code enforcement officers. Our code enforcement officers are out doing many other things, and that traffic enforcement on that side is not one they would do. Again, the city stance is that is perfectly allowable, so we would not have our code enforcement officers out there contrary to what we believe.
This question's for the POA. Can golf carts, can the golf course tunnel pathway be upgraded or widened with or by the city to accommodate an undercrossing of Railroad Canyon Road for non-standard, non-street legal, greater than two-seater golf carts? Bill?
So to answer the first question, the case he asked, POA security, Allied Universal will not be enforcing anything. It's purely an RSO responsibility. Now, as far as the golf cart tunnels, a lot of questions have come up in terms of, can we just open the gates, open the tunnels up? And I think it's important to understand why they're there and what's been going on. They've actually, we lock those tunnels every night and have for 56 years. The reason why is, there's three reasons. One is to protect the golf course from further damage by vandals and so forth. And we've had, over the years, we've had tens of thousands of dollars of damage that basically have to get corrected and paid for by our members. It's probably one of our most expensive amenities, and therefore that's why those gates are there. A second reason, in my opinion, an even more important reason, is for security for the community. That if someone were to be able to come in and get on those golf carts without those being closed, they have access to every home that abuts the golf course. And most homes that abut the golf course, unless you have a pool, do not have a fence. And so it's for the safety and security of our members, which in my mind is even more important. The third reason is one that the water district imposes, which is we use recycled water when we irrigate our lawns or the golf course and so forth. And according to water district requirements, they're not able to have human contact. In fact, we have to go out every morning after sprinkling to make sure that our operations staff and our golf course staff wipes down all the areas so that people don't come in contact with it. So those are the three reasons why we have it there. Now, people have asked the question follow-on as to, well, we have a gate here up at the Domino's gate, right? There's a retractable gate. Why can't people use that? Well, the reason, it's important to understand the reason why that gate is there and has been there for, again, 56 years. It's not for people to transit from one side of the community to get into back to the town center. It was put in place for the people in the mobile estates, to allow the people in the mobile estates to come through the back side of hole number 6 before the tee on hole number 7 and come right into the town center and then be able to cross across Railroad Canyon to get into the community. It was their safe path to get into the community. Those residents have also been disadvantaged by this new thing, and so it's an issue that we have to address together.
Question, if the city changes and modifies the current municipal code, would that allow Canyon Lake residents to cross Railroad Canyon Road into the town center from Canyon Lake Drive South? Absolutely, that's what we're working on. So we had a meeting last week with the captain. We are doing, I'm not going to speak for you, Captain, but we're doing all we can on both sides to come up with an ordinance that allows our community to continue crossing Railroad Canyon in a safe manner.
Yeah, so how it works is, city gets with their city attorney, he approves it, it comes to us, I send it to our attorneys, which is county council, and then it comes back. So we're kind of in the middle, both of us, and the attorneys are the ones that are having to work all this out. Because I'm not going to go against anything that our attorneys say for the county, because the only reason this was brought up in the first place is because I had an obligation when I found out it was illegal to address it, because it could be a safety issue. And the liability is on me and my department if a family gets hit by a DUI driver crossing through that intersection, then it's on me and it's on the county. Same with the city. I mean, they're looking at liability also. So I had an obligation to bring it forward, and that's where we're at. But the attorneys are having to work this out as far as what's going to be in the transportation plan and the code.
One of the next questions was, can the city construct a bridge? We would love to construct a bridge. We're looking at to see if whether we could use gas tax money for that, because that is money that Sacramento has already taken from us. So if we can use that money, that would be great, but bridges are not cheap.
If I could comment on that one, Councilmember. In the city manager world, we have a saying, I can do anything you want, council, as long as I have time and money. And as you can imagine, the amount of money that would be spent on a bridge is substantial. There are a lot of grants right now, so for those that follow the grants and what's going on, and the Build Back Better program and all of that are for existing bridges to fix them. There are not a lot of grants available to build a bridge, and certainly not ones that are going to be pedestrian golf cart. However, that is something that we're looking to explore in partnership with the POA to just see what it would be. Get an engineer's estimate to tell us if we were to do this, because it is the safest option across the board. As the council member said, we've had 0 instances so far. We'd love to do anything we can to make sure we have 0 forever. And a bridge is that best solution. However, we've got to make sure it's plausible. We could be, I mean, you could be $5 million in a bridge like that, and I wouldn't be surprised a bit. So that's some additional information on that.
The next question is, why doesn't the city just change the speed limit on Railroad Canyon to 35 miles per hour to solve the problem?
I can take that one as well. I kind of laughed when I read this, because in government, we don't always take the most common sense approach to everything we do. We fall under California's requirements. California makes it very clear that the 85th percentile must be studied. You've got a 10-year study that has to be done. It tells you within that 85th percentile what speed you can set. So we have recently had a study done. I believe it was January of this year. The traffic engineer, Steve actually would tell me, was it this year that the law changed? It was. So July of this year, so just recently, it gives the traffic engineer just a little bit more leeway. What they used to have, and just hypothetically say you come in at 56 miles an hour, that meant you could have gone down to the nearest 5, which was 55. 54, your nearest 5 would be 50. There are things like safety corridors you can do where you get a little bit more, but unfortunately, we don't have the ability to just look at a street and go, here's the number. So we do have to fall under those requirements. There's really no way around that other than, like I said, we've got a little bit of leeway from the traffic engineer, but there's no path because of that 85th percentile that we could ever get down to 35.
Right now, can RSO send a moto to give speeding tickets?
Well, they could give them all day, but they're just, without that traffic study, I don't know how to say it other than they're just not enforceable.
Because we don't have a traffic study, right, Captain? So therefore, we would have to find other reasons to give tickets essentially, since we can't go out and.
We could still use prima facie speed. I mean, if we can,
Follow?
you just can't use radar.
Right.
Is what you can.
No radar speed, yeah, until that
Just
is
no radar.
completely finished. Is that correct?
Yeah, the last saturation, we wrote several speeding tickets,
Okay.
but you used the prima facie speed rather than.
All right, another question. This one's good. Did the city provoke RSO to prompt a new position on the matter by souring the relationship?
Souring.
Oh, I'm sorry, is that souring?
Yeah.
By souring the relationship with them because of the city's desire to start a police department. Captain Reynolds, tell us about Sour Patch.
I would say no, there hasn't been an issue between us for years, and it's still not an issue.
Yeah.
It's just a legal issue that we're having to deal with now, that I have to stand my ground on, where we're at. And it's pretty much, what you guys think might be different than what we're thinking,
Right.
and they're working it out. But there's no, that I know of, there's no plan to start a police department or to push us out, no.
From our standpoint, absolutely not. It's our job as your council to look into everything we possibly can to make sure that we are providing the best type of service we can for the community. This has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with service. And I think the captain would agree when it comes to that. This matter would never be a conflict in that regards.
No, it's a safety issue, for one.
I have another question. Maybe you can answer it, Jeremy. Does the city council hate the citizens of Canyon Lake and want the businesses in the town center to fail and gut the whole place to build high-rise apartments?
Ouch. So when you look at how municipal government works, especially at the local level, we need what's called tax dollars to survive. So we would literally be cutting it at the mouth that feeds us if we were trying to do this route. So this council is doing everything they can to ensure that Canyon Lakers can continue to take their golf carts over, to enjoy all the amenities that we do. I don't know about you all, but me and my family go regularly, whether it's to Pepe's, whether it's to the store, and that's a part of life here that we have. So we would never try to go after the very tax dollars that's keeping us safe with public safety dollars and everything that we enjoy here in Canyon Lake. So, no.
And you know my business is over there, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
I think we could take that further and say, come on over and spend more money. We absolutely are in support of it. Come on over.
Like Canyon Cash, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
This one's for you. Is this issue planned by the city to force town center businesses? We already talked about that one. It's just phrased differently. Any other questions that we didn't hit?
Should we, this was one. What about residents boycotting the town center as a way to force the city to do something?
Yeah, that one's the boycott.
That doesn't sound like good neighbors at all. Please don't do that.
the
We're
other-
trying everything we can.
The other question that was received, I did a PSA, a video announcing this issue, and one of the questions was zero tolerance. When I was talking about zero tolerance, I was referring to a golf cart. So the way it says right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Captain, but when operating a golf cart crossing a road, especially Railroad Canyon, it's zero tolerance. It's a different code of conduct than driving your car. So that's what that reference was when operating a golf cart. Anything else?
Councilmember, could I comment on the boycott just a little bit more as well? Because you hit on something I think that's very important. Councilmember Castillo has her business over here, just like many Canyon Lake residents have their businesses over here. So just keep in mind that boycott, if that was something that anyone really wanted to follow through with, is not just going to hurt the city, it's going to hurt your neighbors.
Absolutely. Okay, are we good? Should we open it up for questions? So,
Maybe just one more thing.
Yep.
I know that, we've had some consternation about the fact that there's not written material in hard copy print on this. But there have been a lot of local media articles. I think the Canyon Lake Insider has published no less than 6 about saturation patrols, city council meetings, city identifying path forward with RSO. The information is out there, and I encourage residents, if you don't want to read the newspaper or the local newspaper online, watch city council meetings. We post agendas at least 10 days in advance. We tried to get as much information out there as possible. It's on YouTube. I think we have information on our website, right? Isn't there a website post on this? I believe so.
I believe so. I'm trying to remember where it's at.
Then we have our Instagram, and then we have our Facebook, and so we're really trying. The information keeps coming. If you have suggestions on that, we all have emails. My cell phone number is posted everywhere. I know Councilmember Smith's gotten a lot of messages, texts, emails, and we welcome your suggestions. We take them to our city attorney. We take them to RSO. We really are trying to fix this because we don't want our way of life to change at all.
and just for, and Captain Rose, I don't want to put you on the spot because it wasn't you, it was the lieutenant. But in one of our council meetings in December, if any of you went back, and I know it was posted on several of these pages because of this issue, I had a conversation with the lieutenant. We went back and forth on if it's really the goal of RSO to pull over golf carts. And he agreed. He goes, no, I mean, we want to fight bad guys. People taking golf carts across Railroad Canyon are not bad guys, and they're not doing this in other cities right now. So this is a very unique situation. And Captain, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, but I don't believe it's in the interest of RSO to pull over golf carts every day.
No, if that was the case, we'd be doing it every day.
Yeah.
I would instruct my deputies to be out there doing it just so we can, get the message out. Hopefully everybody's listening and looking and knowing that it is dangerous until we get all this taken care of as far as all the safety precautions and things. Because there's a lot more to it as far as safety equipment you need to have on your carts. Driving in today, I saw someone crossing with no seatbelts, with 2 kids in the back. We've had complaints with babies being held on laps, no car seats. So a lot of it wasn't just DUI related, a lot of it was safety related. So if a deputy sees that, yeah, they're probably going to pull you over if you don't have a baby in a car seat. But a lot of it's safety related.
And I want to say that, you know, we have a very complex issue, as most of you can now realize and understand. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we've poured hours into this. I have met with our sheriff. I have met with our CEO of the county. I have met with both legal counsel on our side and the county side. I've taken this thing as far as my wife will allow me with the time that I've taken from my family to meet with everyone on this issue. We've been working so hard on this for the last 8 months because we want to deliver something to the community that not only protects us but keeps us safe, but also allows us to cross Railroad Canyon where everyone here in this room and in our community knows that it's safe and you're good to go and there's no issues. That's what we're trying to do, and that's why it's very complex. It's not as simple as a press release or as simple as saying, hey, we did it. As you can see, there are several layers to this exact problem that we're trying to resolve. But I assure you, with the commitment of Councilwoman Casey Castillo and myself and the staff here at the City of Canyon Lake, we will find a solution to continue the quality of life that we're used to when it comes to using our golf carts and being able to cross into the town center. I will do all I possibly can and continue to pour hours to make this happen. And I don't want our captain to look like the bad guy. He's been very helpful with this. His objective is to make sure that we're safe.
I'm used to it.
Now, it's okay. You can do that because you have a gun. But his objective is to make sure that we're safe. So let's go ahead and do this. Again, I hope this was okay. We worked hard on this. We wanted to be organized. We wanted to be as transparent as we can. Social media is now part of government, so it was crucial for us to go after all the questions we possibly can. And this is the structure that we came up with, so I hope that everyone is getting what they're looking for out of this. But I do want to open it up for those that want to come forward and ask us any questions that have not been answered. Go ahead.
Councilmember, do we want to put any kind of restriction on the
Yeah.
timing or any of that?
How much time do we have? Because we've committed to 8, so we got an hour and 15 minutes.
Is 60 seconds to ask a question acceptable, and then the
Yeah, I
answer
don't
takes
think-
as long as the answer takes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a resident, obviously. Thank you, all of you, because coming here today absolutely answered some confusion and dispelled a lot of the rumors, and we appreciate safety is important. My only question, having been a resident way back in the 70s and now again, 2 weeks ago I got a text that there was an accident outside of the North Gate. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know we had this system. When I go in and out of the gate, I know there's a Shania Twain tribute band playing at the lodge every day. You know, I know what's happening. I don't think we're utilizing enough for the people that aren't online, because there are a lot of members in the community that are, you know, for one reason or another, no matter what their age. I just feel that we could dispel a lot of the rumors if we use emails, which are free, text, which should be free. It's just a suggestion, you know, to reach the people that aren't, because what happens is it's a game of telephone. Somebody reads it on Facebook and then they're talking about it, and then you're getting to the residents that are detoxing from social media and haven't heard about it. So that's all I would ask for. Is just
You are 100% right. The frustration that we're having is the information I have yesterday compared to the information I have today is completely different.
Right.
That's how frustrating this has been, because it would be so nice to spend the $5,400 it costs to mail the entire community with an exact plan, but I guarantee you that'll change the moment I press send out to the community. That's what's been so frustrating about this.
You know, and I appreciate that, although we are a small community.
Yep.
We're not LA, so you just talking candidly, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Send in an email just saying, look, this is all in flux, but right now, if you're crossing on a saturation day, or if
Put
you're
your 60
crossing and you get a
seconds,
citation, you know, it can be, look, this can constantly change. But today, residents, we caution you not to really cross. And if you do, make sure your kids are you know, just.
Thank you.
Does
Absolutely.
that help?
Yes,
Okay.
it does. Thank you so
All right,
much.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to do the best I can. He's forcing me to do a 60-second, so we're going to see if we can.
There's a lot of people in line.
Yep.
Does that mean 60 seconds to ask the question or to get?
We'll see how it goes. If he kicks me
Yeah,
again.
I started your clock already, if
I've
you're
got
wondering.
several comments.
Yeah.
One of them was what she just said.
Okay.
Do you need my name or?
No, this is not the POA. We're good.
Cool.
We accept
Great.
all. Welcome to government.
I'm going to go hide at home then after this. One of them is what she just said. All your websites, whatever you have, that's really cool, but like I've said, for all the hundreds of clubs you have, there's a website. Okay, my daughter, who's more into the websites and more literate with that. She's been pulling up all this information, which we'll be talking to you later, Mr. Brown. So with the websites, I totally agree with her. There are those, even though I may be kind of computer literate, I'm not aware of all these websites. So as a homeowner and a golf cart owner, and if we can just make it consistent
Yep.
with email and/or text, so that way you blast it to everybody, you don't have the expense of mail. So, and I agree with that one.
Absolutely.
Okay, the other thing is, with the handout that was provided that I have seen, and my daughter's son was cited for driving a golf cart, so that's why we're going to be talking to Mr. Brown. It says, when you have multiple seats.
Just an FYI, that is the 60 seconds.
Well, just with that, okay, so with a multiple seat, it says you can go across. It says two-seater, golf course, cannot go across. That's what it says on that handout.
The new pamphlet.
Well, we have several, we'll have to go
Yeah,
through that.
they're conflicting.
Okay.
They are conflicting, which is why our CM is willing to help out and be there with a
Absolutely.
letter from our city attorney saying, what are we doing here, Judge? Because we got an issue.
Okay, and further beyond that, I'll speak with him or some of you guys
Absolutely.
later, exactly, because I dug into all the
Yep,
codes.
sure,
So
yep.
between 21115, which is for the highway,
Yep.
21115.1 is for
Yep.
crossing. There's total distinction.
Yeah, we do have attorneys, again, that are going back and forth on this,
Okay.
so I'll certainly take your information, but this is what they're dealing with every day right now.
Yep.
Great, okay.
Thank
we'll
you.
be talking to
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, I'll make it quick. So I went online, I don't know, probably try to gather up. I only received 3. I believe one of you or your officers gave me that
Yes.
the night of. Only conflicting thing is the first one that you guys could all read. This is the second one, and this one has golf cart is the only thing. 2-seater, it says right on there, including the driver. And the one that I keep going back to that everybody tells me is about your post from the insider and everything else. The problem I have is you guys, this is illegal and this is a violation. Your main post reads moving forward. That's not something that's going to be like, hey, alert everybody, you cannot cross. I get the safety thing, I get the 4th of July, I get the timing, but you guys cannot say, hey, this is legit. This is now, you have all these signs that are conflicting, like you guys said. So having something saying, we're moving forward, but guess what? Everybody's sending me to this Donna Ritchie's article, and it's like, you have to read in the fine print that it's legal. And it's saying that you guys, like you're saying, have altercations.
Yep.
So it's not clear.
Here's the 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep,
But that's
you
only
are
3.
100%
Only
right.
3 I found. So if anybody finds any more, let me know.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Hi. I don't really have a question, it's more of a statement because I'm not sure if people know. My name is Shannon, my husband and I, Joe, we operate Peas in the Canyon Lake Town Center. The inconsistency of the law is hurting our businesses. I have no
Absolutely.
problem telling you, pulling my numbers from this time last year, I'm down 65%. 65%. You know, this is our busy time. This is when we make our money. And this week, there's been limited numbers of golf carts or LSVs in the town center. This is the worst summer I've seen in 4 years. There needs to be clear and consistent guidelines and operations, because if not, we're going to lose more businesses and residents.
Absolutely. 100%.
Good afternoon. This is a question from Mr. Brown. This rule, because we have 3-lane highway, because we didn't have that rules when it used to be only 2-lane highway. If it is, then how come many cities are on Highway 99? They're crossing the main Highway 99 with a golf cart from one side of the city to another side when they play golf. Then why we shouldn't change it here too, from a 3-lane highway for only like 2,000 yards? Change it to 2-lane highway until you pass the golf course, it become 3-lane highway, then the rules we could change.
So the lanes, we'll actually let the captain.
Well, I was going to say,
respond.
the problem's not the 3-lane highway, it's the speed. If you look at most golf cart safety plans or any LSV plans, the roadway's 35 or 25. You can cross all over the city of, well, Sun City is, because it's all 25 through there. And the only places where they cross like on Murrieta Road, you're going from one golf tee to the other. And that's why they get away with that. But most communities, where they have golf carts driving everywhere, in specified lanes, it's 25 or under.
Yeah, but there's one thing about here, you got 3 lights on the main gate, and nobody crossing the street except when the light is green for the golf cart. So where you can see the danger of it.
It's posted speed. It's the posted speed, not
Regardless,
the speed they're
The golf
driving.
cart going only from 0 to 7 miles an hour crossing the highway, what do you call it, highway?
Yep.
So where's the speed?
I totally understand with what you're saying, but we have to go off what the law is, not off of the safe, not that you think it's safe.
And unfortunately, we'd have to go to the
Thank
the
you.
next individual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Well, no, I wish everybody had all the time.
Dan Lekawa, first of all, thanks for what you guys are doing and helping bring this to closure. Second, got 2 quick questions. One, I've seen things in your prior presentations where they were talking about having to push the light and having to follow a crosswalk.
Yep.
And you guys didn't address that today, and I'm asking how that complicates things. Because if safety is the true issue, having somebody go to the right where everybody's trying to turn right can't possibly in that
Nope.
equation. Second thing, golf cart definitions question. The most common configuration has a seat, rear-facing seat that flips back to be a storage thing. Is that a golf cart or not? Those are my 2 questions.
Yes, a golf cart is 2-seaters for purposes of golf, where you have an area in the back where you put golf clubs.
Yeah, but if
So
I
if it
have a
flips
seat
up and
that
you can put
flips
golf
that
cart,
down and I
golf
don't have the
clubs,
seat there, I'm okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, 2-seater.
Okay, and then to the other complicating question was to you guys.
Yeah, so to the complicating question, what you're referring to, hold on real quick, if you don't mind, we want to try to be as respectful to everyone's question as possible. To the first question that you asked, we did address that. In fact, you're referring to a council meeting that took place in December when I asked the lieutenant if my wife gets out of the golf cart and presses the button and the little figure comes up, and I even said it that way, we're good to go. And he said yes. So as you can see, it's developed completely from then to what we have now. It's changed, and without us knowing. So that's because as they were doing their research, things changed on their end too, which made them enforce differently 2 weeks ago than they did in December.
And that came from county council, the differences. And most of that's having to have a designated lane where there's no lane there. So even pushing the button, it's illegal at this point because there's no lane.
And if I could,
Yes.
to comment additionally on the common sense of government, there was a question I remember in social media about, well, somebody on a bicycle could cross, or somebody that
Yeah,
is
electric
on
bike.
an e-bike could cross, and the answer to that is, yes, you're correct. But unless your golf cart identifies as an e-bike, or however that works, I don't know how you discern between the two. So that is true, it is accurate, but that is why we're working on it.
Next question. I hope that answered it. Frustrating.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Ryan. Been a Canyon Lake resident for about 20 years.
You and I spoke on the phone, right, Ryan?
Yeah,
Yep.
I just want to tell my story, man. Crossed the thing, not knowing anything. I'm blind. I had someone from out of town drive my golf cart. The cop was really rude, and I was mistreated. This is for the sheriff. Searched illegally. Didn't ask me to search nothing. Searched my cart, searched everywhere, and was really rude. Came out yelling at me and scared me. I repeated, hey, I'm blind. I'm blind. He doesn't respond. Finally, a motorcycle cop walks up, and the situation kind of got a little stern, and we did receive a ticket. No alcohol, no doing nothing wrong. Cart with seatbelts. We were wearing them. Lights, everything on the cart.
Well, you could do me a favor and send me that information on who the officer was, because I can look up the body cam and I can watch the whole entire.
Oh, I'm glad you brought
Stop.
that up. Body cam was on when he started, but believe he shut it off and then back on when we were done. Yeah.
Well, I need to look into it and see. I can't say that that's what happened now until you give me the information.
Right, we will give you the information.
Yes, please.
You have a ticket with you, right? Okay, at the end, we will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question?
As it relates to the crosswalk use of golf carts, right? The statute states that golf carts should cross in the same manner as pedestrians. AB 1238 that went into law in January of last year states that pedestrian traffic cannot be limited to only the crosswalk. So under that logic, wouldn't a golf cart be able to cross outside of the crosswalk as long as it was in the golf cart crossing zone as listed by the two signs on either side of the intersection?
Aaron?
I believe that AB, is it 1238?
1238.
Yeah,
Freedom crosswalk.
if I remember, that's also, it is required to be done not in a crosswalk, but in a safe location.
Correct.
And it does not define what a safe location is.
It
So
defines a
that,
safe location as somewhere where somebody would reasonably not incur undue damage. I'd
right,
have to go back
and,
with the exact language.
and of course, everybody is reasonable, right?
Sure.
That's where the hard part comes in. So I don't see a nexus between those two, but certainly the attorneys and RSO, but to me, that it is kind of the apples and oranges. And we've also defined that, as Councilmember Smith said, it is unsafe to get out of your vehicle, go up there, hit the button, so we know there's a conflict there.
Sure.
That's also going to be addressed in what the new plan is and the new ordinance.
Sure. Second, as it relates to 2115 and golf carts and potentially LSVs under 2115 crossing, it states that the equipment provisions are subject to 24001.5.
Right, with your lights and your,
Actually states that golf cart would have the same requirements as a motorcycle. And I guess the question there is there some clarification we can get around the exact required equipment? Motorcycle, for example, does not have seat belts, windshield wipers, certain other things that have been stated in previous meetings that were required. And I think there's some confusion.
my understanding was around the lights only, is that correct? It is.
It was at one time, but now since, in 2023, California Streets and Highways Code, Section 1950, it gives you a list of everything that's required on an LSV, NEV, and a golf cart.
Sure, but again, in 2115, it specifically calls out that.
2115, I believe, is from 2000.
Yes. So this is 2023.
Current, it's listed on
And-
the state side as current as of 2023.
And if you look, vehicle code is difficult.
Sure.
Because they leave those older codes in there, and they don't update them when they put a new one in, so it's still there. So it is confusing the way, when you look at it, and there's different codes that, yeah.
Right, if it's a current law, I would assume that it's a current law. I mean,
But a lot of what you're saying right now
Sure.
is the city's argument.
Yes.
Right.
That's our point. Yeah.
We 100% agree with you. But we need some attorneys to agree with us, too.
Yes. Ours does.
Hi, I'm Andrew Grove. I've lived here for 33 years. Okay, in regards to the 35-mile-an-hour speed, we all know how dangerous Railroad has become. Why can't they have the stop sign at the golf course have a 35-mile-an-hour from there to Getz Road until they get past Canyon Lake? Would that take 10 years?
So if I understand, it's the same question we addressed earlier.
I
in that-
was upstairs.
Oh, okay.
I-
So
Maybe I
the-
didn't.
there are some very specific requirements we have to set speeds within the city. So we're not just given kind of carte blanche to where the city says this is what the speed is. There is a very specific traffic study that is done. There's the 85th percentile rule, which means 85% of the traffic must be at that or close to that speed. So we'll give you an example of what we see. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do 35 on Railroad Canyon unless their car is breaking down. So let's say that it's 54 miles an hour, somewhere around there, they would be able to lower it down. Depending on the traffic engineer's discretion, it's going to be somewhere in that 12 mile an hour. There's no scenario on Railroad Canyon where we would have the legal ability to lower it to 35 miles
But
an
you
hour.
have to stop there anyway. That's what I'm saying. You have to come to a stop. Isn't there a
Understood.
light there?
We do have the ability to put a stop sign, but
There
even.
is one there. Isn't
Even,
there a light?
right, if there's a stop sign, but I'm saying, even a stop sign, if we put one, that's just in the middle of Railroad Canyon, a traffic study would have to be done.
Yep.
To show that that warrants, and that's what it's called, warrants a stop sign. Again, this is the state law, this is nothing
Yeah,
that
I
the city
understand
that, so we would have to do that, and for many reasons. One, you could actually put a stop sign in the middle of an area that creates a liability, it doesn't resolve it. So now you've got people that are stopping in the middle of a road with 50 or 60 mile an hour coming behind them, and when they rear end them, it's going to be way worse in that scenario.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. Thank you for all being here. I have a few questions, mostly all directed for RSO. Do you believe that your deputies are educated enough to identify a modified golf cart as opposed to an LSV?
Our traffic deputies, yes.
Traffic
And
deputies.
that's why the traffic unit's out here during this saturation.
Okay.
Most of our deputies, no, they're not up on everything related to the vehicle code.
Okay, so specific to that, we do this every day. We own a business in the Canyon Lake Town Center modifying golf carts. It is what we do. Turn signals is a very common request from us. We had turn signals, we had seatbelts, we had windshields, we even had windshield wipers.
No.
Now, do you have not necessarily an opinion, but in a deputy's enforcement, are they going to be able to differentiate whether those parts were put on from the manufacturer or whether they were put on aftermarket?
They wouldn't address that, period. What they're looking at is whatever it says as far as what they need safety-wise, then that's what they need.
So that being said, should a cart meet the standards with lights, seatbelts, turn signals, there would be no indication to have a traffic stop?
An LSV or NEV or a golf cart?
Well, you
Because an
have to tell
LSV
me
and
the
an NEV
difference.
has to have a serial code. It has to have a code.
As the deputy that would be stopping an individual, you would need to be required to identify the difference, not the person being pulled over.
Like I said, what they're looking for, is it serialized?
Okay.
Is that VIN number on there?
Yeah, I think I've identified the issue is that that any deputy would not specifically be able to notice the difference between a modified golf cart and a non-modified golf cart, except for inspecting the cart for a VIN number.
That's true.
Okay. So second to that, you had mentioned unsafe behavior in golf carts going across the street and crashing. Can you cite
That
those
is the 60
incidents?
seconds, just so you know.
Okay.
Sorry, Tony, we're trying to get everyone through.
No problem. All right, thank you.
If there's truly, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. It sounds like this all started because there are so many accidents with drinking and driving. Why don't we handle that situation where we minimize it? Because we haven't had any golf cart accidents crossing the street. We've had golf cart accidents within Canyon Lake, drinking and driving, open containers, doing all of those things. Now, everybody's being penalized because somebody is on their high horse and thinks it's illegal to cross the street. There needs to be a resolution shorter than an 8-month period. And I'm sorry, but I totally disagree with you. Nobody got the notices. We have a diversified community that is elderly, young. Young people probably got the notifications and they don't care. But the older people, they don't get on the internet. You guys need to do a better job about educating of what we're trying to do. And you guys need to work better with the community and faster, and it should not take 10 years to get a study done. That is ridiculous. The red tape needs to be done. And I'm sorry, if the golf course has to be opened under the tunnel so we can go across, then that's what needs to happen. No.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, guys. Hey,
Can I address one thing real quick?
Yeah, one thing. Go ahead, Captain.
What I was going to bring up is, yes, we
Thank you
have
for your
not
question.
had a DUI crash in the intersection, but we've had DUI crashes within the HOA coming from the town center and confirmed they were drinking in the town center. And in the last 2 saturations and the checkpoint, we've had a DUI each in a golf cart. So it is happening. It is happening.
Next question.
Tim Adams, Canyon Lake resident for 9 years, been in the community for probably more than 30 with friends and family. I've moved family here. It's very appalling that you look at everything going on in our world and everything and the laws that aren't being enforced with the houselessness or the homelessness, sorry for the political correct, whatever it is, you look at the crime, the drugs, everything that's going on, and this is where we're spending taxpayer dollars. Our sheriff, your boss, somebody that this community is behind, is looking to run for governor to change the crap that's going on in this world, and we're sitting here talking about splitting hairs in the vehicle code that not directed at you. I respect the hell out of our law enforcement first responders. But when you're here saying you're not a traffic guy and your officers don't know the difference, and we're splitting the hairs between 2-seat and 4-seat, and 99% of our community that's honest, safe, law-abiding, doing the right thing, maybe cheating a few things here that need reminding correct, we get that. We're not looking at the enforcement of people making bad decisions. But when it comes to everything going on, the bureaucracy here is exactly what's wrong with this world. All the way down to this local board with you guys, the POA shaking his head no on the tunnel for safety issues, getting out of a golf cart. I'd love the fire chief to talk about how he wants us all pressing the button, because I have a legal, non-modified 2-seating golf cart. You're crazy if you think I'm gonna have myself or my wife press a frickin' button to
I
cross the
agree, and
street.
that's in the vehicle code. That's not what we.
But you just said your officers don't know the vehicle
No, I did
code.
not. Listen.
You said they don't know all the, hold on, this is my
The
turn to speak.
enforcement, the enforcement we're
You've reached
doing.
the 60 seconds.
The enforcement we're doing is under, listen, the
Hold on.
enforcement we're doing is under an OTS grant. I bring in my traffic bureau to do that OTS grant. They know the difference. Everyday officers, no, my everyday deputies do not know the difference, but they're not writing citations.
They're
They're
not
not
writing
pulling people
citations.
over.
Even under your traffic guys, the safety rules, there's conflicting safety to our public and the people operating these vehicles safely. And there's conflict, there's signage, and yet we're sitting here spending all this time and money. It's crazy.
Thank you for your question and your comments.
Councilman, before the next question, could I remind anybody that is upstairs, if you would like to if you have a question or a comment, just come downstairs and get in the line. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I just had a quick question. You said that you submitted a ordinance, golf cart ordinance plan. Is there anything in that plan that we might want to know, like we can't pass after dark, or
Do you want me to speak on it?
if there's any details that we might want to know about that?
Okay, I'm going to repeat the question. You know, we spoke earlier about a plan that we submitted to the county that we're trying to get approved. And what that plan is essentially each resident who has a golf cart here in Canyon Lake would be issued a sticker. And that sticker would go on the golf cart to show that you're aware of the liability that it takes that golf cart to cross that road. If we can get county council to agree to that, because again, this is a liability issue. That's what it comes down to is that the fear that RSO has and county council is that someone takes their golf cart across the road and a deputy was on duty and they did not enforce or stop or cite that person from doing it, and there's a death that takes place. That's the big arching concern that we're having. So the plan would be that we would move forward with the city taking that liability, working with our residents to ensure that they understand what exactly they're doing by taking that golf cart across the road. Did I miss anything?
And the golf cart transportation plan that'll go through the county, that's still in work, but what we're talking about is the permit plan. And one of the things I think is important to note is the city council and the city definitely differentiates the difference between somebody crossing legally and like everybody has said, the 2-seater, 4-seater, whatever it may be, stone cold sober, kids in seatbelts. That's what we're talking about. If you're coming across with, your kid in the left hand and your bottle of beer in the right hand, that's not what we're talking about, and I'm not coming to your traffic citation court. That's your problem. It's completely different. We are not talking about that in any way. We're talking about what the city feels is the legal crossing at that location.
So there's nothing that's restricting any details around like the type of golf cart, the time of being able to pass, or anything like that you've submitted for in that plan?
Correct. We don't have that full plan submitted. What will happen when that happens, it will come to city council, and it will be in an open session meeting where everyone will have access to it. They will be able to come in and comment on it, any comments you may have, whether it is emailed. And I think it's important as well to note, while we post our agenda online, we also post it here at City Hall. So if there is anybody that just wants to know what's going on and does not have a online presence of any kind, come over to City Hall. If set up an appointment, whatever you want to do, sit down, I'll go over the agenda with you. That there is nothing that this city council is trying to do to in any way hide things or not be transparent. Again, I would happily go over the agenda of what's going on if there's somebody that just doesn't want to read it online or doesn't have access to do that. So that will come.
Maybe I'm I didn't hear you correctly earlier. I thought you said you submitted a plan and that it was being reviewed by legal.
So my understanding is that the plan, when we're talking about the golf cart transportation, that's just us going back and forth right now on that one to make sure we put it together the right way. As a matter of fact, Captain sent me 2, I think, that are already approved. We're looking at mirroring that. So this is the initial discussions of the transportation plan. It is not formally submitted to the county saying, here is our, in our minds, approved transportation plan. We're probably a month or 2 away from that, because that does need to come in front of the public to see what we're submitting.
Okay, so you haven't submitted a plan and it's not under review, like the captain said was under review
No,
by
no, it's
legal?
the initial, so
I'm just trying
it's,
to.
yeah,
I'm
it's
just
semantics,
trying to clarify
where
that.
we're
Hasn't been a
making,
plan, like.
a formal plan has not been
that's
submitted.
been
What we're
submitted
doing,
And it's under review by legal, like the captain said earlier.
that's the.
And it's just the legal.
Portions of
feeling
it are being looked at by legal, but once it's completed and we know what's legal, then the
So you're still figuring-
then the
you're
transportation
still
plan is
figuring it
submitted.
out.
And you're also, you got to differentiate between the ordinance, the transportation plan, the permit process, and that's where it's all getting confused.
Yep, there's 3 layers. Next question. Sounds like.
Thank you guys for being here tonight. I think the majority of us appreciate the communication. Okay, so it was stated last
Can you speak
year-
in the mic if you
It
don't
was
mind?
stated last year with the grant money, there were going to be 3 saturation patrols and a DUI checkpoint. The DUI checkpoints have to be public
Yes.
notice. The saturation patrols don't.
They do not.
So we've had 2, so there's 1 more coming before the funding runs out on September 30th.
Correct.
And more if you reapply for the grant.
Yes.
Okay, so you stated at that time that it was 0 tolerance when you take money for that grant. So my question is, during the next saturation patrol, let's say you see somebody driving in a golf cart or the LSV, driving across Railroad Canyon, drinking a beer, and you have to pull them over because they're drinking and driving. And since it's 0 tolerance with that grant money, is a ticket going to be issued for them crossing in the golf cart? The second thing is, I just want to clarify, the 2-seaters can cross right now legally, but not at dark time. Correct? Didn't you say they're not allowed to cross at nighttime? Also in the crosswalk, but we've already discussed that issue, but they're not allowed to cross at night, the legal 2-seater golf carts, correct?
According to 2115 and 2115.1, as long as they meet all of those requirements, which is the lights, the brake lights and all that, but what the captain has said is, there's new law that supersedes that law, but we're still operating off of that because as one of the
I'm
residents
talking about the
said.
golf carts, though. I
But
understand
golf
the
carts as
other
well.
one. I didn't think the golf
It
carts
is
had to
not
have
that it's not allowed.
The golf carts have to have blinkers too, and windshield wipers?
It is not, I don't remember what the equipment is, but it says very clearly in the code
Okay.
that it must, and it's 2115.1, I think, that
Okay.
says, in accordance with 21340, I don't remember,
So they can cross at nighttime legally then?
with those, the
Requirements.
safety requirements.
But only the golf carts, the 2-seater ones?
Yes, but this is where we're at.
Okay.
County council has told us that the way the crossing is in the intersection right now, it's legal all the time with everything. And that's where our stance is with county council.
Illegal.
Illegally.
Oh, I was going to say, then why are we here?
You just solved our problem. We're good.
I said they
We
cannot.
can go.
So I can see if you guys let things slide for now, but when you
Quiet,
have that
please.
next saturation patrol on, before the 30th, because it's 0 tolerance.
That's the 60 seconds.
Will they be, do people have to worry
We're
about being issued
working through
tickets?
that. I'm waiting for county council, because we could put a halt on that, possibly if they say, as far as writing the citations to golf carts, until this is totally litigated and gone through everything, so.
And just to be clear, a lot of this, as the captain said, is because of the saturation, which is, this is why I brought up. It is not, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Captain, today, standard operation, our deputy is not looking to cite golf carts.
No.
That's not what we're trying to do.
No.
They have to, because it's, as the captain said, it's state funding, and as he indicated, he brings in his traffic team, and they're operating under the rules and regulations of those monies that are coming to us. Next question.
Yeah, my name's Steve Viotti. I've been a member or a part of Canyon Lake.
Can you speak into the mic if you don't mind? Thank
Yeah,
you.
my name is Steve Viotti, and I've been in Canyon Lake for about 6 years. You made a statement right at the beginning saying that we've been functioning under this 30-year understanding of the law, and that fortunately we've had no incidents concerning golf carts crossing Railroad Canyon. So my question is, why are we here? What are we talking about? If there's no incidences, we have over 200, I did the math. We have 200 million occurrences of cars going by here, whether they're going 65 or 35 or whether they're going, and yet we're here spending thousands and thousands of dollars for safety issues. There's no issue. We haven't had any issues with safety. Yeah, you're going to see somebody doing something wrong, you're going to cite him. Fine. But there are no issues. So my question is, why are we here?
For me, once I found out that it was illegal and there was an issue, I had to deal with it.
So it's just bureaucracy?
No, well, you can call it whatever you want. It's a matter of time before something does happen.
200 million times, and you said something might happen? It sounds like COVID to me. So.
Again, real quick, please, real quick, to answer your question while we're here, the city has a different interpretation than law enforcement does, which has led us to this point, because we agree with you, sir. That's exactly why we're here. Because your council, your city attorney, your interim city manager all agree with our ordinance that we created in 1995 for this community holds up into today's law as well. That's why we're here, because they're doing their job. We have a different interpretation of that, and we are trying to come to grips where we can tell the community that you don't have to worry about an RSO deputy pulling you over in your golf cart. That's why we're here. Next question. Go ahead.
The question was, because he's not at the microphone, that are we going to reapply for the grant? We reapply for the grant every year. If we don't spend the funds, then we won't get the grant the next time, because then we're saying there's not a problem. So yes, we will be filing for the grant again, which we already have. We're just waiting to hear back.
Would you mind stepping to the podium? I'm sorry, or I can bring a wireless microphone to you.
You're Canyon Lake only?
No.
Okay, you're
Countywide.
Elsinore?
We're countywide, but I have 3 cities, yes.
Instead of another grant for us, why aren't we getting a grant from the freeway to Canyon Lake?
I have that.
There is so many speeders and people going over the line, and I never see a cop ever.
I have a grant for the cities of Lake Elsinore, Wildemar, and Canyon Lake. And you got to remember, this is mainly towards DUIs. That's what we're looking for. That's what the grant is for.
Look how many accidents
I know.
there's been there.
I know. It's specific on what we
unreal.
spend it on, and it's DUI saturations and it's DUI checkpoints.
Well, then you'd probably make your money back if you go from here to the freeway.
And we are
There is-
constantly
hey,
there
if you
writing
want some drunks,
citations.
There you go, and
Yes.
speeders and accidents.
We do several checkpoints a year in Lake Elsinore.
Not very
Over
many.
Burwell Canyon.
Because I never see a cop, and I go there at least every other day, and I don't, there's very few. Same from here to, up to Menifee, same thing.
No.
So, I mean, I'm
It's-
not
it's-
saying that, but don't pick just on us.
It's a good question.
You're not being picked on, I
Nope.
can guarantee you that, and I can show you data.
It's a really good question, and I just want the audience to know that in 2 years ago, the city of Hemet, the city of Menifee, the city of Canyon Lake, and the city of Lake Elsinore all partnered with different law enforcement agencies, both CHP, Hemet PD, Menifee PD, and Riverside County RSO, to do a saturation patrol along the whole entire road. And that was a very successful attempt that we stopped a lot. And we have partnered with each other to deal with not just the traffic issues, but also folks in our minds making wrong decisions while crossing that road. Would you agree? I mean, that's,
Oh, I agree,
and it's
yes.
top of mind. I know that we've met with Bill Zimmerman and also now Steve Manos in Lake Elsinore, that we have an issue here, especially with the amount of cars going through, and unfortunately for our community, we get it as well, people flying through. I can't tell you how many residents have reached out to this council because they're scared of these cars that go 65, 70, 70. You guys have all seen it. It's out of control, right? And for this council, we were trying to do saturations to fix that. Unfortunately, like we said before, we have a different interpretation of what it means when it comes to golf carts. That was never the intent. Any other questions?
So I keep hearing back and forth that we're not going to do anything right now because there's all this discrepancy going on, right? Can there be something that is actually put in writing that says that? Because these poor businesses are losing tons of money. It's a weekend again. It's a ghost town. Sports Stop is completely dead on the weekend. Pepe's is completely dead. You just heard Pisa 65% down. These are small businesses that have supported this community, are giving us tax money, and they're losing. Is there some way you guys can say, hey, everyone, you're okay right now as we're going through this process? We're not going to be giving any tickets unless there's a saturation?
Like I said earlier, I have one deputy here handling calls for service, doing investigations and everything. They don't have the time to go out and write citations to golf carts. They're going to deal with maybe a child out of a car seat, that type of thing, but they're not going to be writing citations for golf carts right now, no.
But no one knows that, so that we have an empty business center.
And I can't come to you and say it's legal for you to do that. I'm telling you it's illegal, and you're gonna pass at your own, you're gonna go through the intersection at your own.
That's so sad.
It's a good question.
As of right now, no.
Hello. Hello, thank you for being here. My question is, it takes us 10 years for safety to change the speed limit for 35, but yet I have an electric vehicle. But you're telling me an electric bike can cross the street. So I'm gonna have to get 8 ground kids electric vehicles, bikes, so we can go through the street. 10 bikes, that's gonna be safer than my electric vehicle?
I'm not saying it is, and I hear your frustration, but I don't write the vehicle code laws, that's Sacramento. And bicycles can go on the roadway and
But we
wherever.
don't even have a warrant, so can
I
I
know.
go right now with my electric vehicle over to town center, yes?
Electric vehicle, yes.
I mean,
Electric vehicle.
my golf cart, it's electric vehicle.
Does
It's
it
electric.
is it licensed?
No.
License plates? That's the only thing that can cross right now is licensed,
But,
insured.
but that's,
All right, I have a question, make clear. Okay, so the CVC code to.
If you could speak into the microphone, so sorry.
No
So I have
problem.
a question, since it's
Quiet,
in black
please.
and white, and this is the RSO warning that everybody gets, it says in black and white, it's 2-seater, including the driver. Could we make it clear, plus if we have another entrapment or something goes on, could we please make it clear what a golf cart is? And could we please make it more clear on these CVCs? You guys are following California CVCs.
Yes.
Okay, is that right? So with all of us, I know most of us got tickets that are 6-seater, like they say, it's loaded and all that. It just, please, it needs to be more clear, and I don't know how you guys are ticketing
When the golf
6-seater
cart
cars.
transportation plan comes out, that's all going to be
Yeah,
clear.
I just,
So-
it
so
needs to
status
be
quo?
black and white, and this is not cutting it.
Status quo, and correct me if I'm wrong, Captain, it's RSO's interpretation that any golf cart that crosses Railroad Canyon right now is illegal.
Okay.
Unless
but it
they're
doesn't
licensed
say
and
that.
insured.
Unless they're
It doesn't
licensed,
say-
insured.
It says 2
So,
feet
so,
on here.
and I know the captain has no problem,
Yeah.
I know the captain has no problem putting that out
Okay.
as of right now, but here's the issue that we have. As you heard from the captain, his deputy is not on looking for golf carts crossing Railroad Canyon. If we have him put out information that clearly states any Canyon Laker who takes a golf cart across Railroad Canyon because of our interpretation, it's illegal.
I get that,
We
yeah.
now have to let him do more so and enforce against that.
Yeah.
He's stating right now that it's not the main responsibility of his deputy on watch
Yeah.
to pull over Canyon Lakers with a golf cart.
Do you think you should be giving a warning since the interpretation is so gray? Like, we all under here are so gray with a golf cart, the whole, what is a golf cart, what's not? And to actually get a violation instead of a warning, or educate us, or properly educate us, we'd appreciate that.
If I
We
could
all
answer
would.
part of that,
Of course.
Councilmember.
Yeah, that's what we.
The biggest problem, and what we're trying to do is not have a division, but to be just frank, there are two yous in this scenario. The you of the city that believes one thing, and the you of RSO that believes another. So I can speak on behalf of my council, which is my boss. No, they don't think you should get a warning, because they don't think you should get a warning or a ticket. They think you should be able to cross as long as you're meeting all the legal requirements we talked about, the zero tolerance, kids secure, but the you you're talking to in this scenario is RSO, who has that view or opinion of where that is. The hope is, as we come together and work this out, and the attorneys find a way, and we get the golf cart transportation plan done, and we get the permit process done, and I'm missing one of the three. Even I can't even keep them straight now. So once all that is done, we should be in a position where you know exactly what each vehicle is, who can cross at what time, the whole process. Unfortunately, we are not there yet.
All right. So until then, hopefully, and like
Until then, as the captain said-
emails, or if you guys know about this.
Until then, as the
emails to get
captain said-
fast, oh, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Until then, as the captain said, RSO's primary focus is not to pull over residents in golf carts.
Okay.
And it was clear as day that this started taking place during saturation patrols. And that's that.
And from county attorneys, I can't tell you it's legal when it's not.
Right.
From their standpoint.
gray area.
If they say it's legal, things change.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't go against our attorneys.
Yep.
All right.
Next question, thank you.
Shady.
We've heard a lot about the differing opinion between RSO and the city. And, I mean, I think the city is in agreement with most of the residents here. What I haven't heard, and I guess maybe this is a question for the RSO, if it's possible to get it, I guess there was an analysis that was done by your attorneys that deemed it to be illegal. Is there any way to get a copy of what that analysis looks like compared to the current vehicle code to try and determine where and in fact what statutes we are missing?
That's been done through both attorneys, city attorney
Sure.
and county council, and I know they're back and forth on that, and I know the city just sent over some questions, so that's going back and forth between them. It's not public information. I don't even have all that information right
And I
now.
guess that's my question. Is it
Yeah.
possible to make that public information? To have the city, or the sheriff's attorney post their view on why they believe it is illegal versus a flyer that we get that's really light on actual vehicle code violation. I think all of the flyers put together really didn't say what we would get a ticket for if we crossed prior to people actually being issued tickets.
Right now, county council is looking at the entirety of it.
Sure.
And they will be sending something to the city probably here next week or the week after. So they'll know where the county council stands with it, and then they can make a decision from
Sure,
there.
but I mean, presumably, they gave you some sort of direction, which is where you
That it's
determine
illegal.
that's illegal.
Yes.
Is there any way that we could be privy to what that direction was? Short of, did
The
they just
reason
give you a phone
being-
call and say it's illegal?
The reason being is there's not designated crossing lanes through the intersection,
Okay.
things of that nature, signage.
Which is why we fired back and said, okay, if we stripe the road green
Yes.
and we come up with a plan that meets that requirement, are we good? We're arguing with county council on the definition of a golf cart because we believe a golf cart is everything that we drive here in Canyon Lake. And that's the point. That's where we are, right? So that's why it's very complex in that regards, because we're literally in the middle of arguing the traffic code, so that way we can get it right the first time and continue what we have from a legal standpoint.
Sure.
And Councilmember Castillo, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what you're asking is for RSO to waive the attorney-client privilege, which is what they'd have to do. They would waive that, because we don't have it either.
Right.
We get, actually from Captain Rails, tell us what their perspective is. So you would have to make the request to RSO to waive their attorney-client privilege to get that information.
But I guess what I'm asking is for the RSO to give us some sort of a statement. If we cross, we would be presumably accused of whatever vehicle code violation, specifically the vehicle codes that we would be.
I'll say it again so the captain doesn't have to. If we start going down that direction, we now are putting it out there that the deputy on watch is going to start patrolling golf carts crossing Railroad Canyon. I don't know if you want to go down that. I know I don't, but that's what we're trying to avoid here.
The definition of an unintended consequence.
Yes.
Well, I guess I, for one, and I, to be perfectly honest, I crossed during the day.
Right.
Because I believe it's legal based on the interpretation of the code. I would not be opposed to the RSO giving me a ticket for it. Go to court, let a judge determine. I mean, I think that's a perfectly acceptable consequence, right? Because the RSO ultimately could accuse me of
Yes.
any
Until
violation. It
proven.
really doesn't matter.
Until proven, exactly.
And then I would have my day in court.
Yep.
And I guess without understanding what that would be, you know, we don't have any way of preparing any sort of defense or counter argument to that.
I believe we have some additional people in line. That is the 60 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
I've exceeded my time. So thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lecco. I've been here for 4 years. So kind of going on with an earlier question, I'm trying to figure out how to get between the lines here. So I've got a 4-seater, but I flipped the back down, so now it's a 2-seater. I have seat belts, I have lights, and I have blinkers, but I'm missing a windshield wiper. So, and I don't have a plate. So if they pull me over and give me a ticket, would they give me a fix-it ticket because my windshield wiper's not working? Or because I don't have a license plate on the back?
Right now, as I've said, it's all illegal to cross.
It's what?
Everything's illegal to cross.
Oh, everything.
I can't tell you what you're going to get a ticket for exactly, as
So
far as what's a
everything,
ticket.
including the golf carts from our canyon
Unless you
country club,
are
golf
licensed
carts.
and insured crossing Railroad Canyon.
Okay. So we can't even.
Because the way we look at it right now with county council telling us illegal, there's no difference between a golf cart crossing Lake Elsinore on Railroad Canyon, right there at Lost Hills, to go over to Starbucks than it is to cross here right now. It's the same.
And to be clear, we have gone through our city attorney to the county and said, what do you want? Like, what can we do? Can we paint the road? Can we put up flashing lights? Can we do crazy flashing situations? Can we put a roundabout where you drive through the middle? Like, what can we do? And we're waiting on that answer.
Next question.
So I want to thank people that came up here actually answered my last question of what citation would actually be issued. But I actually just want to put a statement out there to not only anybody watching, but public notice. I will be crossing this street every day, and I will let you know what I get cited with if I do. I'm happy to support this and go to court to see what happens here, because it seems that this is an opinion of the law. And until we have a clear definition of the law, it sounds like we can go ahead and cross. So you guys want to come on over? We'll be there, open 8 to 5. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next question.
My question's more geared towards the POA board. And the question is, going back to the tunnels, I'm a local contractor. I will install the gates as a solution to cross this. If it's truly a safety issue, the tunnels are by far the safest route. Yes, I understand the concerns about the golf course and protecting the golf course. I have value for our course. Put cameras up. If we need to increase patrol, whatever we need to do, but we're talking about business, impacting businesses. Let's come up with a solution. Let's work together. And I'd be more than happy to sit down with the POA board and design a solution with gates, RFIDs, and we'll get it installed.
President Bill Van Vliet.
So if there were a question related to that, it might be, would you be willing to assess the possibility of a safe solution to using the tunnels? And that would require a feasibility study. But there are two fundamental caveats that we need to protect as board of directors of our Property Owners Association. One is the safety of the residents and the homes that abut it, and two is to ensure the safety and protect the safety of the golf course. If we need to do a feasibility study within that constraint, that enable those constraints, that's something that we could consider with the city. However, note that in order to do so, it would probably require also acquiring some land and other things, and that's why it's going to have to be something between the city and the POA. And we're certainly willing to work together to come up with a joint solution, if these other ones don't work.
Look, the reality is we could expand the entryways going in and out. You can put occupancy sensors up there that has a red light, green light, just like in parking structures. We can negotiate driving boats through a tunnel.
Right.
We should be able to negotiate driving a golf
A
cart
golf
through
cart.
a tunnel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your question. Just so everyone here knows, President Bill Van Vliet and myself have been racking our heads around this very thing with that idea, along with, putting up money to look at structural engineer of what a bridge would look like. And we have been working as hard as we can. We're trying to find the fastest way possible. If we get legal counsel to move forward with our plan that we want to submit, I think that's going to be the quickest way where we can do this thing immediately. And that's why we're concerned about going that route. But we have been talking about it. And we, like we said, we're going to do all we possibly can to make sure we keep it.
Even if it's just a temporary solution.
Absolutely.
Because we could pull power off of the restrooms right there at the tee-off box and extend it down to the facility,
Yep.
to the gates.
And again, just for the audience, this is exactly why the POA is here. This is not, and you probably heard me say this in the video, this is not a city issue, this is not a POA issue, this is a Canyon Lake issue. This is what we do. This is how we continue to make Canyon Lake the greatest place to live, I believe, in the United States. It's working together to find these solutions and try to keep Sacramento out of here, but we're having a hard time doing that right now.
Yeah, we're available next
Yep.
week.
Next question. Good? All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. We can't thank you enough for coming out.
We got one more, council member.
Yep.
So close.
I feel like I can speak for everybody saying, nobody wants to take the golf cart path to and from the town center.
Right.
Nobody here wants to do that.
Absolutely.
Temporarily, because what you're saying, everyone, is go ahead and go across the thing, but it's at your own risk. If you get caught, you get caught. Hey, I didn't tell you to do it. That's what it's saying. So everybody's going to start doing that, obviously. But I guess my questions on the golf cart path is, I understand the golfers don't want everybody on the golf cart path. 100%. We don't want to be on the golf cart path either. But I guess my couple questions is, are you allowed to be on the golf cart path at any time without golfing? And I know that the answer is yes, because if you're going to the country club to go eat, that's the only way you can get there on a golf cart, correct?
Bill?
Actually, let Greg.
Greg, do you want to take it?
There's actually a rule about that, as you can imagine. Briefly, the history on this rule is that a couple of years ago, there was a movement to let walkers and runners and other people use the golf cart paths for walking and exercise. And after a lot of study, the golfers, as you can imagine, and the board did not well receive that idea for a lot of reasons I won't go into. One of them was safety and golf balls flying around.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, this rule was passed a year and a half ago. I'll just read it. Only authorized golf carts and persons are allowed on the golf course and/or cart paths, which includes guests of the country club, registered golfers, maintenance/supervisory personnel, or authorized spectators. Cart paths cannot be used to commute from one side of the community to the other.
So what you're saying, I mean, we're getting into a whole different thing
Yep.
right now. So what you're saying is, if I'm not golfing, and I want to take my golf cart to the country club on Sunday morning to go eat, I cannot do that.
No, the country club, if you're going to the country club, there's an exception.
So only that path from whatever that street is right there, going to there. Burning Tree.
Yeah.
So from Burning Tree to the country club, you're allowed to be on the golf cart path on a golf cart without being a golfer.
Yeah.
Correct?
So I think what's being said here is that this rule was put into place, I think, about 2 years ago, in the absence of the issue we're discussing here tonight. So if in discussions down the road, this rule needs to be amended or whatever to suit whatever we decide to do temporarily or long-term, that may need to be done. The other issue I want you to understand, I mentioned safety, is I talked to some golfers before this meeting tonight, and the one, we could put, widen the opening and put lights and cameras, but the one thing the golfers pointed out to me is that there's golf balls flying around there, and they told me, I don't golf, but they told me that in a couple of spots, the golfers take a blind shot. They don't know where it's going. And if there's somebody over there in a golf cart and it hits them, that's another liability issue. So it's a little more complicated than you might think.
I agree. I'm just trying to find a temporary solution like what. you
Absolutely.
said,
Understood.
While we're waiting for
Yep.
this to come back.
Yep.
So that nobody's not going across.
And that's why the POA is here. Absolutely.
So,
Jeremy, before you end, I just think there's a lot of people that are still going to leave here and say, so can we cross or can't we cross? I have a feeling I'm going to get a lot of questions. I think all of you guys are going to get a lot of questions. So can you just clarify, you can cross legally if the two-seater, you said, what do you mean no?
No. You can't golf, you can't cross with a two-seater golf cart right now, the way that.
Even with
that's-
all the requirements,
No.
what he just said?
The only way you can cross right now is if you have a licensed
License?
and registered LSV
Okay.
NEV.
So you can cross if you're licensed and registered and it's a two-seater and you have the list of requirements. Everything else you cannot cross, correct?
Yes, because those meet the requirements of a motor vehicle.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that so everyone
Yes.
knows.
Correct, that is
Yes.
licensed with the DMV, registered with the DMV, and insured as per the state requirement.
Yes.
Steve, before I close the meeting, would you mind coming up and speaking a little bit about?
I just want to say that to have a POA sticker for a golf cart, we all have insurance. I
Right.
don't think that's been brought up at all tonight. So we all are insured.
Right. Did you want to speak, Steve, on anything? You're good? She'd asked, so it's her fault, not me. Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
I'm just putting you in the hot seat since you're our resident traffic engineer. There were people who were asking why it takes 10 years for some of these studies. Do you think you could answer that?
Takes about an hour and a half to do the study. It's, but they're good for 14 years.
Yeah.
So when cities normally do a study, they don't want to keep hiring engineers to keep going out count, unless there's been a significant change in the roadway conditions. So like when Railroad Canyon was only 2 lanes in 1980, and then it became, 5 or 6 lanes wide, they would have to go do a study to set the new limit. And so the 55-mile-an-hour limit that we had back then went down to 50 miles an hour based on a study. So that's the only time normally cities do a repeat study. So it doesn't take that long. That's just what the law allows for. Unless conditions are changed significantly, there's no reason that you have to repeat a study.
And we did do a local road safety plan recently. In fact, our gas tax money paid for that.
Correct. We did a study as well. With that, I just want to ensure, thank you everyone for the feedback. I think it's crucial that from here on out, we do all we possibly can to give updates as quick as we can. I wrote that down, that we will do all we can to be as transparent with the information that's coming in as quickly as we can. I just want to say thank you everyone for participating and making this a Canyon Lake issue. We will do all we possibly can to move forward so that we can not jeopardize our quality of life here in Canyon Lake. Thank you everyone. Have a great evening.